I'm Joe Halco, your host, and welcome to another episode of NCSS Here for You. Since 1958, Northwestern Counseling and Support Services has been providing access to high-quality services which promote healthy living and emotional well-being to the residents of Franklin and Grand Isle counties. Over the years, as the needs of the community have changed, so too have the programs and services that we make available to assist children, adolescents, adults, families, and seniors. We take our role in the community seriously and strive to provide a continuum of the highest quality services to meet the needs of individuals who at any point seek assistance. This month's episode is titled, A Fulfilling Life as a Shared Living Provider. Shared living providers support individuals with disabilities by creating individualized care which serves to foster meaningful relationships, promote active community involvement, and encourage personal independence. By providing care, companionship, and support to people who need assistance with their daily lives, the results are an inclusive, person-first approach that empowers a person to make their own choices with the security of knowing that help is there. To discuss the value that shared living providers bring to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities in greater detail, I'm pleased to introduce this month's guests. They are Samantha Thomas, who is the Director of the Developmental Services Division at NCSS, and Mikayla Maskell will be joining us via video today, since she was on the show a year ago. So Sam, I'd like to welcome you to the program and in studio today.
Thank you, Joe.
Great to have you here. So let's start with, can you speak to the critical role that shared living providers play in creating a safe home and community and the inclusion for those that we serve?
Certainly. We did such a lovely job describing what shared living is just a moment ago. One thing I might interchange between shared living provider or home provider.
Yes.
Those are two terms that we use to describe an individual who provides this type of support and care. And I would say right now we've got just between 100 and 110 individuals that we serve in our Developmental Disability Services Division who are living with a shared living provider. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned community inclusion. We're going to talk a little bit later, I think, about some of the values in our system. But shared living providers really play a significant role in creating opportunities for community inclusion for the people mm-hmm. that we serve. One of the things that we work really hard to do at NCSS is to ensure that the people we serve have every opportunity, just as any community member would have, to participate in community events, community outings, having a job, things like that. Shared living providers play a vital role in that for the people that are living in their homes. Mm-hmm. They create opportunities, they provide transportation. Oftentimes, our shared living providers have connections with other home providers in the community, and there are lovely relationships that can build from those relationships, friendships between the individuals that are being served and are living in those homes. And so, we provide, there's a wide array of living arrangements for the people that we serve, and shared living is a real opportunity for people to develop as much independence as they can. Mm-hmm. And our shared living providers work really hard, diligently, to support folks to build those skills and to have the independence that they desire.
Now, I think something important, and I know I didn't mention it, but I think we want to talk about this right out of the gate here, is that people need to understand that the shared living providers or home providers, whatever we want to refer to them as, are not employees of NCSS.
Correct. That's correct. They are contracted. Mm-hmm. So we have a contract that's the same contract that's used across the state of Vermont with between all of our designated agencies and specialized service agencies that creates that contractual relationship with the individuals in our communities who want to open their homes and provide this care and support.
Yeah. And along those lines, isn't there also a tax-free advantage to being a shared living provider, something that people may not be aware of?
Yeah, there absolutely is. There's two ways that our shared living providers are provided payment. One is to support housing and food costs, and we call that room and board. But then there's also something called a difficulty of care stipend, and that is a tax-exempt stipend that is to pay for that care, supervision, and support that they provide to the people that are in their home. Absolutely.
Now, what I'd like to do next is, as I said earlier, Mikayla Maskell, who is a shared living provider, and by the way, has been doing it for over 19 years now, was with us on this program last year. And what I'd like to do is have her share with you her views of what a shared living provider is, and also who are also known as home providers.
So my role as a home provider is to welcome someone into my home and develop programs within the home that that are sort of guided by the plan that the personal plan that they have, and at the same time maintain my home and my routines, and help them to either integrate into that or to maintain their own independence and however they feel is supportive of them.
Okay, we also asked Mikayla last year what made her decide to become a home provider.
Well, I was in special education for 12 years, and I really enjoyed working with people and helping them with their individualized plans and helping them to meet their goals. And this was a good way for me to stay in my field and still be able to stay home with my children.
And Sam, I know you wanted to add something to what Mikayla had to say.
Yeah, I think that there are quite a handful of individuals who are shared living providers who their parents were shared living providers. So they grew up in their homes of origin with this support model, and that sometimes drives individuals to become a shared living provider. It's really quite lovely.
Now, how do you see the shared living provider model mirroring the NCSS developmental services values and the amazing relationships that are developed between shared living providers and clients?
Yeah, I think about, our number one value at NCSS across the agency is safety.
Yep.
And one of the critical roles that SLPs, shared living providers, play in the lives of the people that we serve is ensuring their safety. The care and supervision of that individual is their responsibility 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, unless that individual is in accessing services outside the home, having some respite, any of those types of options. But ultimately, the shared living provider is responsible for that individual's safety. When I think about the broader DS system of care and the values that drive our work, I think about community inclusion that we've chatted about a little bit already, person-centeredness, honoring voice and choice, self-determination, and those really mean that we ask the person first.
Sure.
What do they want? What are they looking for? What goals do they have in their lives? And hearing them, giving them those opportunities to try things out, to maybe make some mistakes that the rest of our community has the opportunity to make, and allowing them space to learn from those mistakes and grow and build independence and, as I said just a moment ago, whatever their goals are, what they want to do. And the shared living providers really get to create that space for people to do just that, to say, I'm interested in volunteering, and so, the shared living provider as a member of a larger team comes together and says, hey, I heard about this opportunity. I want to explore this. Does this sound good to everybody? And everybody's on board, or somebody else has an idea and the shared living provider says, oh yeah, we can make this connection or that connection.
Sure, yeah.
And really create these lovely opportunities for people to enjoy life and build skills for as much independence as they wish.
And each situation, as you've said, is different.
Yeah.
Every individual's goals are different, therefore every situation is unique.
Yep, absolutely.
So when we talked to Mikayla last year, once again, I've mentioned to you that she has been a home provider for over 19 years. We asked her, what is the reason that you continue to serve as a home provider?
Well, with my particular clients that I've had, I had one person for 16 years, and he just became part of the family. And after you've had someone in your home and you've cared for them for a long time, and they just become part of the family, and the unit doesn't quite feel right without them.
Yeah, sure.
The other client that I've had, I've been taking care of him for about 30 years, and one capacity or another, and again, just he's part of the family, and I just really enjoy having him.
We also asked Mikayla about what are the responsibilities of a home provider.
Feeding, obviously, providing food and shelter, and just company with them, encouraging them in what they want to do. For example, I had someone live with me once that wanted to go to college. Took him right down, signed him up, helped him with the paperwork, and I think he was pretty close to getting his degree when he left, and he was with us for a couple of years. So,
Yeah.
just like being really focused on what they want, and then sort of implementing those things a little bit at a time, over the course of time, having a plan kind of myself of little goals for them to meet.
We also asked Mikayla about how important is a home provider in the life of a person.
From their perspective, I think you just become like that solid person for them, and that continuous person that's there for them always. And a lot of people haven't had that opportunity to have somebody in their life that really they know cares about them and is going to hold them accountable for what they want to do, and what they just hold them accountable, I guess, in a lot of ways. Just be that brick wall. I think the most important thing is that you don't feel as a home provider that you're an individual. You feel that you're a part of a team, and that everybody comes around that person, and we might all have different ways that we think we need to get somewhere, but we all have the person is in the middle of that, and we all care about that person. So your egos kind of get checked at the door, and you have to be really listen to each other, and I think it makes for a better service for that person to have a lot of different perspectives, helping them. And and helping them to lead how they go.
And Sam, I know you wanted to add something to that as well.
Yeah. I think in the, over, 100 situations in which we have individuals living in shared living, I think what can be really beautiful, frankly, is the length of relationships that exist. We had a training that we provided to shared living providers, and there was one individual that I met for the first time, and she was speaking about having the individual in her home for 25 years.
Wow.
And I could see the importance of that relationship to the home provider as well.
Sure.
I think it's a two-way street, that the beauty of that relationship, there's a lot of home providers that learn from the people that are living in their home, and that's a gift.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is important to note, because when you're saying, that there is a need for shared living providers in our area, people do need to understand that it really is a two-way street, and it's like so many situations where each gains a great deal from the other. And sometimes it comes from places you never expected. So
Absolutely.
So Mikayla also shared with us last year about, as a shared living provider, that she's not alone and part of a team. And we asked her, could you explain what that means?
Had a lot of different service coordinators I've worked with over the years, but they've always been very consistently helpful and supportive and positive. And I think that as a home provider, you want to feel supported as well, because you're supporting that person, and you want to feel like that you're supported by the agency as well. And I've always felt very supported by the agency and by the staff.
So, Sam, I know you wanted to mention something about this as well.
Yeah. So Mikayla does such a great job talking about the importance of a team. And I really want to share that that's critical for us as well. We know that shared living providers are out there, maybe 45 minutes from NCSS, from our physical building. And so I think it's important just to make sure that anybody who's thinking about becoming a shared living provider understands and knows that there are resources and supports available 24/7. There are team meetings, things like that are scheduled, but we have an emergency services team that's available around the clock should that shared living provider need some support. And it may look like an individual is maybe having a hard time. The individual that's in their home maybe is having a hard time, and the shared living provider is trying to come up with some strategies, some ways to support that person to de-escalate, to calm down, to be in a better space and, go about the rest of their evening. And our emergency services team is readily available to talk with that shared living provider to give them that support. It may be that the shared living provider is like, it's been a long week. I'm tired. I'm feeling frazzled. I need some support to think through. Maybe there's something, maybe there's a challenge, an appointment, something the next day. And they're really struggling with how to navigate that or problem solve that. They can contact our emergency services team. And so I think that's just a really important piece so that anyone who's thinking about it knows that we are here for them. And we want our shared living providers to be successful. We provide training opportunities for folks to be able to learn skills and develop really successful strategies to support the individuals that are living in their homes.
Yeah, great points. So, Sam, what is involved in becoming a home provider?
Sure. So I think the first thing that's really critical is to think about the commitment. If you're considering and thinking about becoming a home provider, think about what this is going to entail. On a practical level, do you have the space in your home? Do you have a bedroom? Can you commit to the responsibilities of being a shared living provider? Mikayla's spoke about that just previously. And flexibility is really important for a shared living provider. Providing some reasonable transportation to individuals for appointments is really critical. So it's important to think about, am I ready to make this commitment and provide this level of support? And to benefit, in all the ways that we spoke about as well. And then on another practical level is we have an application that must be completed for a shared living provider. There are 2 inspections or assessments, if you will, that need to be completed of the home, because again, going back to our number one value of safety, we need to make sure that every home is safe for that individual.
Sure.
And based on the individual, there may be some unique needs that an accessibility assessment might yield. And so there might be a recommendation or a request to make an adjustment if, the person is a good fit to make sure that that home is suitable. And some basic home inspection items. Sometimes we live in rural Vermont. We have a lot of folks who have well water. There's a water test to make sure that water is potable. drinkable. So there are some of those kind of things on the practical side. And the individual, if they're interested, would meet with one of our staff, talk a little bit more, and really understand what it means to be a home provider. We would get to know that person. If we found that that person there was an individual that we serve that we felt like might be a good match, we would start to talk with the potential shared living provider about the needs of that individual in general terms, because as I think we've talked many times on the show about confidentiality is really important. So we don't share specific information, but we talk about maybe general support needs. And, if the person is saying, yep, I'm still in, I'm ready, I want to do this feels really good, we'll have the two individuals meet, the shared living provider and the person who's in need of a home meet, and make a connection. And then kind of back into the nitty gritties, we look at a contract, person signs a contract, and the individual moves into the home.
Sounds good. And so if someone is interested in becoming a home provider, who do they contact?
Sure. So Amy Bronson is program manager in Developmental Services, and she is our shared living provider lead. She's our guru. And so she is the best person to speak with if anyone is interested in considering shared living. She has many years of experience and can answer, I'm going to be bold and say, all the questions that people have. She's talked with, interviewed, communicated with, and supported after someone becomes a shared living provider. There's a lot of support that's provided to make sure that they have what they need to be able to fulfill their responsibility well. There's information on our website that folks can go, but Amy Bronson is really the best person to connect with.
So someone would just call our main number and then ask for Amy Bronson, and
Absolutely.
she'd get connected right away. And would you like to give the main number? I know that's not as easy as one might think today with the direct lines and all that sort of thing.
Sure, yes. So you can contact 802-524-6554 and ask for Amy Bronson.
Okay. That was not a test. It was not a quiz. One thing I do want to explore is, sometimes I know we've talked about if somebody isn't certain that they want to do this, but they want to sort of get a sense for it, would not being a respite provider be an entry point to kind of learning a bit about how this would all function, and yet not be like diving in all at once? So almost like a test program?
You're spot on, Joe. Absolutely. We have many individuals that are thinking about opening their homes and providing shared living support, but they want to try it out. And so respite is a really great opportunity. Gives a family or another shared living provider a break. It gives the individual served an opportunity to get away from home, have a break themselves, and it gives the potential shared living provider an opportunity to see, what does this feel like? What does this look like? And in many situations, when we're trying to make a match between a shared living provider and an individual that needs a home, we will start with that potential shared living provider doing some respite so that both individuals can feel it out. The person that we serve can figure out if this is a home environment, if their location is what they're looking for, if the personalities are a good match and a good fit, if they can be good and happy roommates. Respite is a great way to try all of that out.
Well, certainly the need continues to be great for shared living providers, and I think, Sam, what you've said and Mikayla have said, it's just the critical nature of how important it is in the lives of those that we serve that they have those stable relationships. And as we've also talked about, it's really a win-win for both parties because the individual who's providing the home gets just as much, if not more, out of it than the individual who is staying there.
Absolutely. And there's such a strong community in, sometimes I'll call it the DS world. We have a picnic every summer for the people that we serve, their guardians, shared living providers, our staff. And you really see the community that's built and the amount of connections that occur. And at those events, and then other times just interacting with people maybe in the lobby saying,
Sure.
hey,
Yeah.
bringing somebody in for an appointment. You just can kind of feel it, the satisfaction that people feel providing this connection, this support, this home for people. And the people that we serve oftentimes are then just kind of part of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let me share with you one more time that for anyone who is interested in becoming a shared living provider, also known as a home provider, you can contact Amy Bronson at NCSS and just dial 802-524-6554 and ask for Amy Bronson. And as Sam said, she basically can answer virtually any question that you may have on the subject. So with that, Sam, I do want to thank you for being here this month and for Mikayla and our ability to be able to show what she had to say last year on the program. So I do want to thank my guests, Sam Thomas and Mikayla Maskell, for being on the show and for sharing their insights on the need for more shared living providers and the important role that they play in the lives of individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I also want to thank you, the viewer, for spending time with us again this month. You can learn more about NCSS and all of our programs and services by logging on to ncssinc.org. I'm Joe Halco, and I'll be back next month with another episode of NCSS Here for You.